Hey, Alan Rowland, and happy Veterans Day 2024. Remember those veterans in your life. They have made big sacrifices, and I hope you wish them a happy Veterans Day. Now, I want to continue our discussion with some of the early founders and leaders of Jasper and Walker County, and I think this is very important for us to understand the early history here. Most of these presentations will only last a few minutes, and I know this one will likewise be the same. But the one I want to talk to you about today is an individual by the name of William Alexander Hewlett. Perhaps you've heard of him, probably not anyway. So let's go to our camera here, and I'll show you the dates of his birth and also the title here, William Alexander Hewlett. And notice there he was Lieutenant Colonel. This is in the Confederate States of America, so that's in the Civil War, obviously. Born in the year January 1823. I don't have much on his early life here for the first 23 years of his life. And he died in 1904 at age 81. He is buried in Necessity Cemetery in Stevens County, Texas. If you're not familiar with Stevens County, Texas, I'd be very surprised if you are familiar with it. If you go about halfway, the distance halfway between Abilene, Texas and Fort Worth, Texas there. To the southwest of Fort Worth, Texas, you'll find it there. And he married Sarah Elizabeth Wallace. She was born on 5th May, 1830, Lawrence County, Alabama, north of Walker County. She died on 1899, 28th of April, and she was buried in Breckenridge Cemetery. Breckenridge is a small town that's found in Stevens County, Texas. Okay, moving on. The first record we really find of William Hewlett in Alabama was that he purchased land in Walker County in January of 1846. He was always an ambitious individual. He was elected judge of Walker County, the Walker County Court. He only served in this position for a very short period of time. I do not know why that he chose to leave that, but he practiced law in Jasper. Excuse me. He was elected as Alabama senator. I'll show you an article in a few minutes that says he was elected as Alabama's first senator. I don't know about that. He represented Lawrence County, Winston County, and Walker counties during those early years there. He was an unquestionable Democrat, but much of the South was Democrat at that time. And during the presidential election of 1860, he supported John C. Breckinridge. Now, that's kind of an interesting presidential election. And by the way, John C. Breckinridge was the vice president of the United States. He obviously was under James Buchanan. And at that time, the Whig Party had dissolved and the Republican Party had formed out of it. And Abraham Lincoln was nominated as a Republican candidate. Now, for the Democrats, it was a crazy situation for the Democrats because they actually split their vote and they nominated two candidates here, a Northern Democrat, Stephen A. Douglas, and a Southern Democrat, who was John C. Breckinridge. And oddly enough, we had another party, which was known as the Constitutional Party, which nominated their candidate of John Bell. Alrighty, so anyway, we had a split in the Democratic Party. What a wonderful way to lose a presidential election. And the Democrats, of course, are going to lose this to Abraham Lincoln. Hey, don't worry, the Republicans will do the same thing a few years after this. Alright, back to our camera we go. And, of course, Abraham Lincoln won that presidential election. And that's going to be one of the contributing factors which will cause the Confederacy to separate from the United States of America. Now, if you're not familiar with this term secessionist, it means that you want to separate from the United States of America. And that's what William Hewlett was in favor of. And when the Civil War started, he organized a battalion. It was a battalion, a cavalry. They could refer to this as the 13th Partisan Rangers. Yeah. And it existed, and not in really any heavy combat. It was more as escort and security, keeping an eye on where the Northern Army was, that sort of thing. And by the way, in these by organizing the 13th Partisan Rangers, he was appointed as major. And most of the time, those were elected positions, and I'm not sure if he was elected or appointed, but he was a major. And eventually, the 13th Partisan Rangers was reorganized as the 56th Alabama Partisan Rangers. I talked about that in one of the previous presentations, maybe a couple of times with that. A popular organization here, a battalion that was found in Walker County, not known for its faithfulness. A lot of desertions in that group too. He was promoted to lieutenant colonel, which, by the way, was the highest rank of any Civil War soldier from Walker County. Now, as far as serving in combat, I do not know. I cannot find any record on that. And after the war, William Alexander Hewlett, he relocated to Texas, to Stevens County, Texas, and that's, of course, where he is buried. I don't have any information on him after his move to Texas. The children that he had, Alice Clementine Hewlett Trammell, she married Mr. Trammell, Holly Hewlett Bruce, Tom Hewlett, George Thomas Tom Hewlett, and Frances Ida. They called her Fanny Hewlett Trammell. I guess Fanny and Alice married brothers, I guess. Now, as I start closing down this presentation, I ran across this article right here. And if you look at it carefully, and it's a little bit small print here, but this is from the Alabama Historic Quarterly, and it's a reprint of the Tuscaloosa Gazette from January 27th in 1887. It's talking about state senators. If you read the top line here, it says the first senator from Walker County was William A. Hewlett. I don't know, maybe so anyway, but Walker County was established in 1823. Anyway, it tells you further down there that he was very kind. He was a liberal individual, friend, and a citizen. And if you've got quick eyes here, perhaps you can read down the remainder of the article. Most of it I've already covered here in the presentation. All right. So, nonetheless, that's our presentation here on Major Lieutenant Colonel William Alexander Hewlett from Jasper, Alabama, one of the important figures in the early Walker County days. Thank you.